Good morning and a very warm welcome to Beginning the Day with God, a journey through Luke on Monday, the 2nd of December. We are now in the season of Advent and on a journey to the heart of St. Luke's Gospel. Through our sparkling reflections by Tom Wright, we will go on a journey of enlightenment and be guided towards the wonder and joy of Christmas. The overarching theme of our readings and reflections this week is a time for encouragement. And today we reflect on don't give up. Lord of this world, we work, we watch, we wait for you. Come down, come in, come among us. Lord of this life, we labour, we look, we long for you. Come down, come in, come among us. Lord of this second, we strive, we serve, we search for you. Come down, come in, come among us, that we may dwell in you, and you in us forever. Amen. We now listen to today's Bible reading.
Luke chapter 2, verses 41 to 52. Now every year Jesus and his parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. And when Jesus was 12 years old, they went up as usual for the festival. When the festival was ended and they started to return, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but his parents did not know it. Assuming that he was in the group of travellers, they went a day's journey. Then they started to look for him among their relatives and friends. When they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem to search for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished, and his mother said to him, "Child, why have you treated us like this? Look, your father and I have been searching for you in great anxiety." He said to them, "Why were you searching for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" But they did not understand what he said to them. Then he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was obedient to them. His mother treasured all these things in her heart. And Jesus increased in wisdom and in years and in divine and human favour. Thanks be to God.
And so we come to this morning's reflection. Tom Wright writes the following. When I was a child, I walked a mile to the bus stop every morning, by myself or with my sister. At the other end of the trip, I walked by myself to school. In the evening, I came back the same way. I never felt unsafe, even in the dark winter days. Now, in many places, children are often taken to school by car. Parents are worried about all kinds of dangers that might be waiting for them. Perhaps the first remarkable thing about the story that we have just heard is that Mary and Joseph were happy to set off with their large group from Galilee without checking that Jesus was with them. That tells us a lot about the kind of world they lived in, where extended families of kinsfolk and friends lived together in close-knit mutual trust. But by the same token, once they had left Jerusalem, and when they returned to it by themselves without the rest of the party, the city was a large and potentially dangerous place full of dark alleys and strange people, soldiers and traders, not a place where one would be happy to leave one's son for a few days. The agony of Mary and Joseph searching for 3 days contrasts sharply with the calm response of Jesus when they found him. Mary blurts out an accusation, perhaps tinged with that mixture of guilt and relief that most parents will recognise. Instead of saying, as she might have, "How could I have done this to you, leaving you behind like that?" she says, "How could you do this to us?" Jesus accepts no blame, and indeed issues a gentle rebuke that speaks volumes in Luke's portrait for his own developing self-awareness. "Your father and I," says Mary, "have been looking for you." "No," replies Jesus, "I have been busying myself in my Father's work." Some families today keep notebooks of the striking things their children come out with. Mary kept her notebook in her heart, and this remark in particular will have gone straight there to stab. The way Luke has told the story may strike a careful reader of this gospel as part of a large-scale framework around the main story, which is just about to begin. One of the best-loved moments in his gospel is the story of the road to Emmaus, in which 2 disciples are sharing their anguish over the 3 days that have elapsed since Jesus' death. Jesus meets them and he explains how it was necessary that these things had to happen. Here is another couple coming back to Jerusalem, finding after 3 days that the Jesus they thought they had lost, and having him explain that it was necessary. The word is the same in Greek, that I had to be busy at my Father's work. You might call the pair of stories something like "On Finding the Jesus You Thought You'd Lost." And if that is the message of these 2 passages, maybe Luke is wanting to tell us something about his gospel as a whole. Maybe he is writing at one level at least for people who may have some idea of Jesus, but find he is more elusive than they had imagined. Finding him, of course, will normally involve a surprise. Jesus doesn't do or say what Mary and Joseph or the 2 on the road were expecting. It will be like that with us too. Every time we relax and think we've really understood him, he will be up ahead or perhaps staying behind while we go on without thinking. Discipleship always involves the unexpected. At the heart of the picture, though, is Jesus in the temple, a theme full of meaning for Luke. The gospel will end with the disciples in the temple praising God. But in between this beginning and this end, the temple and the holy city which surrounds it are the subject of some of Jesus' shortest, starkest warnings. From now on, Jesus will be challenging his contemporaries to make real the promises that go with the temple. If they don't, the temple itself will be destroyed. And we read this story prayerfully then, and we can probably identify quite easily with Mary and Joseph, and perhaps with Jesus too, quietly answering the independence of mind and the vocation while still returning home and living in the obedience of Mary and Joseph. We may want to remember times when we thought we'd lost someone or something very precious. We may want to reflect on whether we have taken Jesus himself for granted. If Mary and Joseph could do it, there is every reason to suppose that we can too. We mustn't assume he is accompanying us as we go off on our own business. But if and when we sense the lack of his presence, we must be prepared to hunt for him, to search for him in prayer, in the scriptures, in the sacraments, and not to give up until we find him. We must expect too that when we do meet him again, he will not say or do what we expect. He must be busy with his Father's work, and so must we. For reflection today, do you ever feel that you have lost touch with Jesus? If so, what might help you to regain and retain a sense of his guiding presence? Amen. We now pray together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. O Holy One, thank you for coming to us anew this day. Prepare our hearts and reawaken our love for you as we discern your call within us. May we join with you in making level the path for all people. Amen. Come, Emmanuel, come dwell with us. Hope of the word of life. Come, Emmanuel, come dwell with us. Amen.